Hello everyone, welcome back to Batmania. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And it's time for Batman Under the Red Hood. Yep, we are all ready to Under the Red Hood. And of course, we're very excited about this because this is a great movie. And I've not watched this since the rewind. All those years ago, it's been 5 or 6 years since I've seen this. So, very excited to do it again.
I can safely say it is my favorite animated Batman film, not based on one of the most beloved Batman comics of all time.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns is its own thing to me. Like, I can't really rank Dark Knight Returns.
When you say animated, so do you put it above Phantasm?
I put it above Phantasm, I put it above Return of the Joker.
I think it probably is technically a better story than Phantasm.
Yeah,
or even better executed. Yeah. No, it's just great. I mean, I couldn't. I will go as far as to say I don't know that I could even imagine this material being handled better in live action or in a longer movie. Like that's. And maybe that sounds a little bit hyperbolic. There are some things here and there that maybe you could flesh out, and we'll see if I still feel that way after watching it again, because again, it's been a while.
It feels like it could have gotten another 10-20 minutes.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just so impressive what's truncated and doesn't feel truncated. You know, all the stuff that they're able to put in the same movie. One of the reasons I think a lot of people, including myself, have always been so impressed with this movie, and the reason I think it's stuck around and people still talk about it, because I mean, nobody talks about any of these.
Except
Except for this one, and Dark Knight Returns now, I think, maybe a little bit, but like, and people talk about some of the bad ones, you know what I mean? Like, Superman Doomsday comes up because it has, up until here pretty soon, been the only depiction, well, MPV the only depiction of death of Superman on film that we had, and it's just not good. But with this, it shouldn't work. Like, it sounds like a really bad idea on paper, and then it totally works.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's the best case for bringing Jason Todd back.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the comics. And I'll bring up a couple of things I remember. I haven't read those comics like a decade, but there's a couple of things I remember not liking the comics versus this. But
and I've either never read that, or it's been so long I don't even remember if I've read that.
The big thing that this gives me that they didn't go with is that he needs to be a villain.
Yeah.
He needs to be the Punisher in Gotham City, and he cannot be part of, like, Batman's ensemble. He can't show up all the time with the Robins. He needs to be an antagonist. Villain might be too strong a word, because the Punisher's not a villain. But he needs to be an antagonistic force that is diametrically opposed to Batman's ideology like he is in this film. This is where he should move forward from, and he's not.
And he's one of those villains that... he's one of those villains that works because he's sympathetic and he doesn't look at himself as the bad guy.
And he's not completely wrong. Like a lot of great villains.
And you still, if this is what we did in the comics, you still could have given him his own book, just like you do the Punisher. Red Hood and the Outlaws still could have been a thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, you make them actual outlaws, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you just can't have him palling around with Batman. The biggest mistake that I think that they made, aside from bringing him back in the first place, is
making him part of the Bat family. Yeah. And these two characters can't agree to disagree. He's running around with guns, gunning people down.
Yeah, I don't know what he does in his own books, but I can't imagine, like, has he given up guns?
No.
Then why is Batman cool with him?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he still shoots people with them, but I think he has them.
Rubber bullets, promise.
Anyway, so if you want to watch... so that was our review of Batman Under the Red Hood. And now, the commentary. If you'd like to Batmania it up with us watching this movie, get your DVD or Blu-ray, however you want to watch it, get it to timestamp 0 past all the menus. And if you're watching it with the DVD, it does have one of those annoying bits at the beginning where there's like 5 seconds of a like, don't copy this movie thing, so make sure and skip that thing, and then get it. Yeah, and I want to make sure that I start trying to mention those, because sometimes I'll see those and I'll forget to tell people about them, and you might not know about that. So past all the menus and all the irritating things. So anyway, get a timestamp 0 and get ready to press play as soon as I say now. Eric, are you ready, sir?
I'm ready. You paid for this. Why shouldn't we punish you for that?
Yeah. Everybody, please press play right now.
The worst offender of, oh, I don't want to buy your DVDs because of what you've done is Funimation. Funimation has trailers you cannot skip.
Yeah, that's the worst. I mean, I get annoyed when I can't use the menu. Top menu or otherwise. They just won't let you go to the menu.
Yeah, no, that's... These are reasons people pirate, I think. Those aren't reasons at all, but I'm gonna say those are reasons people do that thing.
One of the things that immediately impressed me about this, of course, is that it right away makes an argument for PG-13 and is not a kids' movie, and it's not gratuitous about, and it's not being like shock factor for the sake of shock factor, in what it's doing with the violence and language and stuff. It's just that kind of movie.
Well, and I should say, I was super against this movie coming out.
Yeah.
One, because I wasn't
excited about it, certainly. I mean, I didn't want this.
I was and remain to this day anti bring Jason Todd back.
Same here.
In the first place. I still think it's a mistake. I still think it should be undone. But I wasn't excited for this movie because I read the comics, didn't like them. I hated the design for the Joker. I saw bits of this scene as like a preview, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like this Joker. He's one of my favorite Jokers, and I want him to come back.
Interesting.
John DiMaggio needs to come back as the Joker. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah. I was going to ask you who that was because I couldn't remember right away. Now that you say that, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
There are places where the faces look really good and places where they don't. Like, I don't like what Ra's al Ghul looks like, but I think he looks great. I don't know why that is. But yeah, right away, tonally, we have a really great sense of what we're looking at. Like, this is not for the faint of heart. This is going to be a really violent, rough Batman movie. And, of course, you don't, in the first 10 seconds of this movie, know that it's going to earn that. But then when it does, it's wonderful.
I love that Joker calls him Lamb Chop. That's a very old-school Joker turn of phrase. Give me 1 second. I'm going to switch these headphones because these headphones suck. And it's a Mania, so I can do that.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, fine. All right. I forgot you had those new pink ones. Well, and it didn't even occur to me that you weren't wearing those. Sorry, when you whispered, I thought you wanted me to turn the commentary off. No. It's a Mania.
No. They kind of... No one can hear me.
I don't know, maybe. It's a really good microphone.
Still time.
I'm trying.
So I bought these, and I get these super cheap at work, and immediately this bit busted, and I'm afraid of it electrocuting me.
Oh, no!
But it still works.
Okay, so you can at least get through this. Well, just use mine.
And all of
I didn't even think about it. Just use mine.
Okay, and all of our regular headphones are missing.
What am I talking about?
And so I bought...
I'm so dumb. I could have handed you these like 2 minutes ago.
I bought these other headphones, and they were super cheap. And I mean, all of my headphones are cheap, but like they looked cheaper, and I was like, I guess I'll try these and hope they work, but they didn't. So
we're talking about your busted earbuds while Joker is murdering Robin.
There we go. He's got a great laugh. Not all Jokers have a great laugh.
Yeah. And it doesn't sound like a put-upon voice.
No.
You know, he sounds like... It sounds like, if this makes any sense, like an evolved voice where, like, it's really raspy and...
Well, and he's a more aged Joker, just like it's a more aged Batman, and I like that.
That's fair, yeah.
Initially, I was opposed to the lines on the face. I like the lines on the face.
Yep. Yeah, me too. Something else that a lot of these movies don't manage, and it's amazing that this does, given the material and given that it's about bringing a character back to life, is that a lot of these things feel like, and we've talked about this, I think, already with the movie. Well, we talked about this when we were talking about the Superman Batman movie, the first of those two. What is it? Public Enemies, where that doesn't feel like its own like universe already. It almost feels like we should have lived there for a minute already. This doesn't have that. This feels like its own standalone world, and a standalone. It doesn't feel like I should have been reading comics up to this, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Now the one thing that I think you can say is a problem with this movie, and there is absolutely 100% no way around it. This opening tells you who the Red Hood is, and we are going to play the Red Hood like a mystery.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if I want to see if I still feel that way watching this another time, because you have that thing where, and I love the suit. I love that we go to the classic '80s look with these. It is a wonderful homage to the actual period where this happened. But and this is a suit we don't see animated a lot. Like it's really cool. But anyway, what was I talking about?
Sorry. I was trying to remember what you're talking about.
That's a legitimate question. I don't remember what I was talking about.
Yeah, no, I was trying to remember.
Oh, I know what it is. Okay, so there's sometimes like a thin line between playing something as a mystery for the audience and playing it for your protagonist, right? So it's going to be a big deal to Batman when he figures this out, and he is a detective, and this is a thing that he needs to figure out. So the question is the movie making its purpose clear enough? Is the purpose to surprise the audience, or is it to surprise Batman?
I think it is trying to do both, and the reason I think that is most of the time when we play a mystery just for the character, we know up front, and the movie never tells us until it reveals it to Batman, which makes me think it is playing like a mystery for us as well.
Okay, then the question is, are you just saying you know for sure what it is because you know comics, or is there, what I'm saying is it possible that there's someone that would go into this movie and not immediately realize that's who it is just because they saw Robin? Because, I mean, after all, he is supposed to be dead, you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, but there are no other suspects?
Sure. But it's also... But here's the thing. It's not a mystery the whole movie has been playing to either. It's just... It's a question in your first act. It's your first act plot point.
I thought it was, like, the first 2 acts. I thought we didn't get for sure until...
No, it's early.
The end. Is it early? Okay. Then that's not as big a problem.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's as big of a problem. Okay. He realizes it because of... Well, you know what? I forgot about the flashbacks, though. The flashbacks probably make it more obvious. Mm-hmm. But again, maybe that's how it's letting the audience know, and then it's more of a reveal for Batman than it is for the audience. I'm not sure if that argument holds water, because it's just been a long time since I've watched this.
And we should note that it's written by Judd Winnick, who wrote the comics.
Yeah.
I think he's a very hit-or-miss writer. And sometimes at the same time, I think his Green Arrow run is very good for the most part.
In Gotham City.
As far as like his take on the characters, but I don't think any of his plots are necessarily very good. Also, he immediately breaks up. He immediately has cheat on Dinah, and it's awful. And it's just he doesn't want her in the book.
But how much respect do you have for a guy that goes back to his own material and improves on it? That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically with this movie saying, yeah, I could have done that better.
Yeah, well, and it's like 12 issues, and there's, like, I think a tie-in to Infinite Crisis in the middle. Like, I don't know if you noticed, Deathstroke is in the comic.
What?
Along with some other villains.
I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, no, it's 2 trades. It has since been re-released. The initial story arc was called Under the Hood. It has since been re-released in 1 volume as Under the Red Hood, which I think, with a cover that I think is very reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
And this is Jensen Ackles.
Jensen Ackles, yeah.
Of Smallville fame.
Right, that's the thing people now.
That's the thing everyone knows him from is Smallville.
But I still haven't watched any Supernatural. I just haven't done it. I mean, I should because of Edlund, but I'm not a big horror guy, and
I watched the first season and didn't care for it.
Yeah,
but I've heard it got better. But I take issue with it got better because they just bring over the staff of Angel. Yeah. I'm like, well, of course it did. They brought over the staff of Angel.
But anyway, so when this came out, I was like, oh, cool, Jensen Ackles from Smallville, who was, you know, he's a good actor, but his role in that is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like he's going to be cool for a couple episodes, and then he gets obnoxious, just like all of the season-long Lana boyfriends.
And he also could have been one of the superheroes. I think he could have been Aquaman, maybe Green Arrow. Although I really do like their Green Arrow.
Would you agree that one of the reasons, and keep in mind that we're still relatively early in the, you know, this is so weird, but in the history of Batman movies, because there's been so many more since this, like this is only, we're not even at the halfway point, we're real close to the halfway point. And I think one of the reasons that this movie captivated people so much and is remembered as well as it is because this is really the first time in animation anyway that we had this kind of atmosphere and tone for Batman that's very like a dark comic book legit, you know, this very much has that kind of like late 90s No Man's Land kind of tone, and that kind of noirishness I don't think we had gotten a lot yet in really you know, dark serious Batman. I mean, obviously, like Batman the Animated Series has a you know, a sort of that. But you know what I'm saying?
I think for me, and maybe for a lot of people when this first came out, what was really appealing was, because I think I said in the last commentary, one of the commentaries, I was really against Brave and the Bold when it was announced. Because I'm like, Dark Knight just came out.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you capitalize on that and make the Dark Batman show? This is the show that I wanted.
Yeah. And it's, of course, influenced a lot by that material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Especially tonally.
So we do a thing here that I really like that is...
and it opens with, like, the pounding drums like those movies do. Like.
Well, and on the gathering of the mob, and somebody coming into the mob gathering...
Yep.
And
we're on docks already.
Which we should also note, a bag of heads that we don't see is also another thing that really is like, no, this is a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
You know, we're not just having blood and saying bad words no, our characters are doing things that are legitimately kind of horrible.
And again, I don't want to sound like I'm forgetting the ways in which Batman the Animated Series was pushing envelopes and stuff, but this is, in its way, kind of like a PG-13 Batman the Animated Series.
I don't know why it's a Mazo, or why we need a Mazo here.
Yeah, this felt a little shoved into me.
And these two are hilarious, because they are Exposition 1 and Exposition 2.
Yes, yeah.
And it's really bad, but I also don't know how else you do it for the audience.
I can't watch this without making... Well, and the big reason it's so bad, not just because it's ridiculous exposition and dialogue, you know, like, if these people know this already, why are they saying it? Like, well, I mean, I guess, you know, one's explaining it to the other, but how does he know that Nightwing was Robin and all of that?
It does not make sense.
How does he know that?
Yeah. He was the first Robin that worked with the Bat.
How do you feel about Bruce Greenwood?
I like him.
I do too.
I don't know if I like him enough that I would say oh, I wish he was the guy that was doing the voice in all of them, but I think he's really good, and I still think it's funny that the only thing anyone can reference for him is he's Pike in Star Trek 09.
That's not true. He's been in a whole bunch of stuff.
No, I know he has, but anytime someone's like who's the Batman? Then it's like, it's the guy that plays Pike in Star Trek.
Well, I think that was true then. I don't know that it is
it not
now.
Still true? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like I still feel
he's showing up
like
in stuff a lot.
Okay.
And he's in the O.J. Simpson miniseries. He's great in that.
Cool.
But yeah, I remember the first time I saw this going, why a Mazo? And
this kind of stuff is all over the comic. If you go read the comic arc, it is so much DC Universe stuff.
And I feel like we do that with these movies all the time, where we just, and again we talked about this with Superman, Batman. We'll kind of shove something in just because we can, because we've never seen it before, and just have a cool action scene. I mean, it looks great, you know. It's really well animated.
But I also don't know why it's not like a Batman villain.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a movie that needs to be in a grander DC universe.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like about it, is that it feels smaller.
There's some stuff in the comics that I like, specifically when he is investigating the possibility of Jason coming back. He goes to Clark and he goes to Ollie and asks them about being dead.
No, that's cool.
I think those are wonderful moments. And so, like, it's really part of the DC universe. This is not. We don't have scenes like that. And so, I don't know why it has to be a Mazo and not a Gotham villain. Because it's very strange. It's this one moment of the DC universe. And there's a moment later that could be more DC universe that isn't. With the weird cyber ninjas.
Oh, yeah!
Why aren't those characters? I've never liked that line. I don't know why. I just think it's a weird delivery.
The Plastique line?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like that line. I have no explanation. I cannot. I just...
All right.
I don't know if it's delivery or the actual line itself. I don't like it. I don't have to explain myself to you.
No, you don't, but I can give you a weird look about it. I don't understand that.
I love... you talked about the costume earlier. I love that now he is in the all black and does not have the circle. It's the Dark Knight Returns thing of, like, thematically building a reason to get rid of the yellow circle.
Yeah.
I really like that. I don't think we've done it anywhere outside of this in animation.
Yeah, because there's the Batman as he was before Jason died, the one
after. Yeah, and he's more bright, and now he's more dark. And, and like, I like that. We do that in Dark Knight Returns, but we've done it in other places, too. That's just the big one that sticks out in my brain.
Yeah, and I think even... even visually and with color palettes, you get kind of the sense of this almost like rose-tinted glasses thing. Even though the beginning is, of course, very dark, and you know, we're in this shack and he's getting beaten. But when you go outside, it's like this was the golden age for this Batman.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Now the world just isn't as bright for him anymore. Relative brightness for Batman.
One thing that I think you could have done with a little bit longer running time is I wish we got a flashback or something.
We're about to get to some CG I wish was not here.
Yes. Oh, this is the first one I remember watching being like, why do the cars look like this?
Why did we do it like that? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wish we got a little bit with Dick as Robin.
Yes.
So that we had a contrast point.
Because that is one of the things where it doesn't feel enough like it's its own piece, where you almost wish you had gotten to read some comics, right?
And there is some stuff in this,
and that's why you have to shove in a really dumb exposition line where it's like, he used to be Robin.
And there's some stuff in this where it's kind of chafing not having continuity, like we have to explain the Red Hood thing in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, it's weird that works, like, just as background.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, because I have, when this came out, I heard people refer to it as both of those stories put together. It's not. That's background.
Yeah, no, it's
right?
not both
like,
those stories put together at all.
They're not in a scene. They're adapting the end of Death of the Family, but Death in the Family. Yes. God, freaking every time.
Yeah.
But
we hate you, Scott Snyder.
We hate you, Scott Snyder. But
I second guess every time I'm talking about either of those stories.
But it's not actually adapting that story.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's just there for background. But also that story's not good, and I don't want it adapted. And if you adapt it, you have to completely rewrite it from the ground up. Go back and reread that story. It's awful. It is Jason Todd walking around the Middle East looking for his mom, and then the Joker becomes the ambassador to, I think it's an actual Middle Eastern country. It's ridiculous.
It's also...
This shouldn't work, but it does.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's also really important that... And I don't know how the comics handle this, but this idea that Jason is adopting the Red Hood persona, and Batman created the Joker out of that, and it's his fault that this happened to Robin. And, like, I really like the way... this movie handles that whole thing.
Yeah, me too. This looks much more like... Okay, I was going to say gasoline?
Yeah.
It's not like Ace Chemicals. And then it exploded like gasoline, which makes me think it is, in fact, gasoline.
Yeah, it is.
So Joker fell in gasoline? Or has the company changed?
Yeah, is this in fact supposed to be the same place where that happened? I guess it is.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I guess it is,
yeah. Because he says this is the site of one of maybe your greatest failure.
Yeah.
Explosions that looked really good. The animation on the smoke and the... He kind of just disappears from this, right? I've seen this movie many times, but it's also been a while since I've seen this. I feel like Nightwing just disappears from this movie.
I don't think he disappears, but he's maybe more in the background than you'd like him to be.
I don't know. Like, I think he's here...
I kind of just want to sit here and watch this because it's been so long. Like, I don't even want to comment on it too much.
I think he's here so that you don't have the thing that happened when Death in the Family happened, where people... Denzel Deal famously tells that story about how, like, he was at, like, a bar and said that he was, like, the editor of Batman. It's like, hey, this is the guy who killed Robin! And, like, everybody thinks it's the 60s, it's Dick Grayson. He needs to be here so you know it's not the first Robin, it's not... like, that's for the uninitiated. But
I also think it's important for Batman. I think that failure would be way, way worse, and he would shut down maybe completely if it was the first Robin. Yeah.
I like this Batmobile.
This car's cool. And that's a very 60s opening to the cave.
It's kind of 89, but like more tanky.
Yeah. Which we've said about other cars before, but it's got its own affect, you know.
Yeah. I'm gonna get our introduction to the... Well, I guess our second introduction to the Joker.
Because you got to do that again.
Yeah. And it's fun. And
but yeah,
great.
no, you're right. Like, as we're looking at this, I think even if you didn't know the material, you would have to assume it was Robin just because we're making such a big deal out of the Robin stuff. Like, we have that close-up on the suit in the cave, and... But I still think it's more for Batman's benefit than it is for ours.
It's funny because you could, I think maybe this could have been 2 parts, but then I wonder if that would be too long. Like, I feel like this movie...
I think if you did that, we would just stretch out the beginning. Like, we would stretch out the flashbacks, probably.
Yeah.
Or maybe try to make the first part Death in the Family, right?
Yeah, yeah, and give all the background you need there, and then just do this one.
And it would actually be 2 movies.
Really well.
It could have worked, but I'm so impressed with the fact that this didn't need 2 hours that wouldn't have wanted that. True. Because one of the things that we're always complaining about with a whole lot of these is that you took material that was long enough and needed to be longer that it doesn't work in this, like, 70-75 minute format.
Well, and I guess, like, a lot of my, I'm not even going to say issues, but, like, worries about this movie is that it has to put all this stuff here to give context for the non-initiated, but then this is the one film of this line that everyone loves, and so, like, it clearly works for those people. It's not, it's not like...
Yeah, because you hear from people that don't know anything about Jason Todd.
Yeah, this is a lot, I think this is a lot of people's introduction to Jason Todd.
Which is great, because it's a good one.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, I think it's actually really important that we have it, because Jason Todd's not really in the public consciousness before this.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely have people that have never read that, and people that are kind of, like, more casual Batman fans that have heard of Jason Todd and know that he's the one who died, but don't know, you know, much else about it. And it's just cool that finally that material is used in something really decent.
I also think at this point Jason Todd has existed long enough that I don't think some people know he died.
Yeah, I think that's true.
It's this thing of, like...
There may be Red Hood fans that don't know that. Is this possible?
I think it is. I think time normalizes things, and so the fact that it was a huge deal and not okay to bring Jason Todd back, I don't think matters at this point, because now it's just angry old fans complaining about it.
Yeah.
No one...
It's been decades at this point. And he's been Red Hood way longer than he was Robin.
And that he was dead.
Yeah.
I think he's been Red Hood about as long as he was dead.
Yeah, good point.
I love
Black Mask is hilarious.
I love this Black Mask.
He ends up being a decent comic relief for this movie, and a really scary one. But it totally works.
As I recall, he's not like this in the comics at all. Like, he's real scary. He's post...
I don't think Black Mask has ever been like this. Like, he's a cartoon character in this, but in a, like, perverse PG-13 way, and I think it totally works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the deadpan assistant, she's hilarious. Yeah. Would you agree this movie needs this? Like, I think it kind of needs this.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And you know what else is really interesting? That we end up feeling almost relieved in a way, especially as heavy as the the punches are hilarious. Especially given how heavy this material gets, and the big ideological question between Jason and Bruce that we're dealing with toward the end. That's almost like the Batman Forever symbol, isn't it? Isn't it really interesting that with a movie with a Joker who I would argue in places is actually a funny Joker, it needs a comic relief villain besides the Joker? That's so interesting that works.
No, I think the Joker's really funny.
Everything about this movie, on paper, is counterintuitive, and then is totally effective when you watch it.
Well, in the lead-up, they talked about how they didn't want to make this movie, and Judd Winnick had to sell them on it.
That's fascinating.
They were like, yeah, I don't think we can make this story, like, you'd have to do all this exposition, and, like, it wouldn't work, and he's like, no, hear me out, I can do this. Like, Judd Winnick is the one who sold them on the idea of making this movie.
sometimes you end up with gems that way, where you have a thing that is for whatever reason, you know, kind of an assignment for some people, but then they fall in love with it as opposed to being in love with it in the first place. You know, there are like art happens in really weird counterintuitive ways sometimes. Sometimes you have things that people are totally passionate about it and are the wrong people to make it. You know what I mean? And then you'll have things that people, like you say, don't want to make at all, and then they end up falling in love with it as they're working on it, and it turns into a passion project.
Yeah.
You know, and I think sometimes the first thing happens because you'll just have the novelty of making the thing, and all you have is the initial germ of the idea and nothing else, and then that leads sometimes to concept over execution. This is execution over concept, and maybe one of the best examples of that I could come up with.
Okay, so this is going to be important later. I'm going to bring this up later. Remember that Batman put these bat lines all over the city here.
Okay.
I'm going to bring this up later when we establish something else. But just remember that he did this, because it's going to be important.
Okay.
Because it makes Batman worse than Spider-Man.
I like the payoff thing they'll do where we see Jason Todd do a move that Batman taught him that's in the flashback as Robin.
Yeah.
And you see, like, just a very specific move that looks really, really hard to do, and you just buy that this guy is capable of all the things that he does, which maybe sounds like a silly thing to say because, well, yes, of course he is, he's trained by Batman, but I just like the choreography is also specific. Like you see the exact precise like moves he's making and like the anticipation that he has, and you buy the ingenuity and the execution of his things that he's capable of that look really hard to do.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes action and things like this looks more generic than it is in this.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very kinetic and visceral. It just kind of everything works in this movie.
Yeah.
Because we've like I'm sure like this we wouldn't like this movie as much if it was.
Look how well this is storyboarded. Look how much we're cutting.
If this was done like
that is going above
films.
and beyond, right? Like you didn't have to cut that in 16 places right there, like you did, and it's not annoying and jarring. It's just really cinematic and exciting. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just saying if this was animated in the way that some of the newer films were animated, I don't know if we'd like it as much because it wouldn't look as good.
Well, and there also would be Vaseline all over the lens, and you'd start to rub your eyes and wondering if you had sleep in your eyes. Even if they had to be convinced to make this, it feels like a passion project at every step. There it is.
Yep. That's also going to tie into the thing I'm talking about in a minute. With the chords.
I wondered if maybe it would, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a building that looks almost exactly like that in Arkham City.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
It looks like a subway building? Or I guess it would be
Oh, okay. Maybe not. I guess there's just a ceiling I'm thinking of that looks a lot like that on top of a building.
a railway? What do you call it? Monorail.
Monorail,
it's
yeah.
A monorail building. Which is very Begins.
Yep. Oh, it's like elevated.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not. Well, of course they're not on the ground. Yeah.
Well, I guess that wouldn't be a It wouldn't be a monorail because monorail is the one.
It would be a
two
hover rail.
It's high trains.
Yeah.
Whatever high trains.
Well, you're right. They
are.
have those in Batman Begins.
Yeah. But I think Batman Begins is in fact a monorail where it's running on one track, where these have two tracks.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's just elevated trains, but maybe those are just normal trains. I don't know.
I wonder if Lucius Fox also helped build that train. He probably did.
I don't think Lucius Fox is in this one. Is he?
Is that not the black guy we saw earlier? I thought that was Lucius Fox. Pretty sure that guy was Lucius Fox.
Yeah, okay, this is it. Not many knives that can cut his lines, which he left all over the city holding up a helicopter.
Right. What, was he going to go back and
was he gonna fix that for them? Or is that just part of the attraction of Gotham now? Is there just a helicopter suspended?
See, I have the opposite question with Spider-Man sometimes, where I'm like, okay, your webbing dissolves in an hour, so I get that people aren't going to be tied up forever, but if you hang them up too high and the cops don't get there in time, that person is dead.
Also, that's great that it dissolves in an hour, there is no guarantee that like news helicopters won't fly through in that hour. They don't know that, or maybe they do. Maybe they should expect it now. They always fly defensively. I don't think you can do that.
Okay, so this is the big moment. This is the big question of is this a big reveal for the audience as much as it is? I'm not sure it is, especially because I know I already said that, but I'm still not sure because again, we already did a shot of this before, kind of suggesting to the audience that I don't know. I really think that's more fun.
That's got to be a cover.
That's a wonderful. Yeah, that is a cover. I don't know of what, but I know I've seen that cover.
And I'm sure it's a Jason specific cover.
But when you do a reveal, so again, that is your first act plot point.
Okay, absolutely.
When you do a, I forgot what the
and this is this Riddler is voiced by Bruce Timm.
Yep, it's really funny.
Yep.
He only has like 2 lines. But yeah, this is where the like I said earlier, the color scheme is brighter. And
yeah.
He's got the old costume and.
Oh, and he's even got the.
I mean, I guess it's not fair to say that the beginning is his golden age, because again, this is the golden age, and this is well before that. But yeah, I'm sorry.
He's got the golden age costume, where he's got like the boots and.
That's the '60s Batman costume.
Yeah. It's a bad joke. And this is really well used. This is the 1 year later Tim Drake costume. This is the costume that Tim Drake uses after his father dies, and he becomes Bruce's son, adopted son.
Okay.
Which I have always loved this costume.
But didn't Jason Todd have a costume really similar to that? I mean,
no.
He had a red suit, right?
No, he wore the costume that Dick Grayson wore.
Going all the way up?
Yeah, we don't get a new Robin costume.
No, now that you say that, of course, because I mean, I know that from the cover. Yeah.
We don't get.
Sorry, it's all coming back to me.
We don't get a redesign of the Robin costume until Tim Drake.
Yeah.
And then we get another redesign with this costume for Tim Drake, which I adore both Tim Drake costumes.
And I would argue the Red Robin costume is also just as good, but.
Well, and it's building off of this one.
Right.
But yeah, no, I like that they used Tim's later costume because it's all red and it's darker and like it contrasts really well. Like they could have used Tim's first costume, but it wouldn't have contrasted as well because we're through costume telling a story in the same way that we have Batman with the yellow signal and the blue going to the black symbol and the black. He's gotten a darker costume. And we're seeing him progress, and it's visual storytelling.
Of course, yeah.
I'm explaining visual storytelling.
He was he was clearly ultimately the wrong kid to take out on that job.
But it also suggests that he stuck around longer than he does in the comics.
Yeah.
Like he grows up from like 12 to like 16.
Yeah, that's true.
I love this joke.
We're gonna kill him! Look, they need a sitcom.
I love the idea that if he wasn't clear, they might throw a party for him with like hats and streamers and things.
And when I say a party, what I really mean. But like I said, I never thought I would see a movie where Black Mask was the funniest thing in the movie.
Yeah.
What?
And it was in this weird period. Like I talked about in Dark Knight, there was a lot of people that thought Black Mask was going to be the villain. I feel like Black Mask gets thrown around a lot. Like, there's a new Batman movie. Maybe Black Mask will be the villain. Maybe Black Mask will be the villain of Arkham Knight. And like, I feel like people keep expecting Black Mask to like he's gonna get his day. And I think this is the closest we ever got to him getting his day.
No, not Arkham Knight. That's a whole thing. So, Origins was sold on Black Mask.
Yeah, it's true.
And he should have been more the villain of that, and it was a red herring because it ended up just being another Joker story. Being really the origin of, or it ended up being the first Batman Joker meeting story, and they truncated it all in one night, and it was way too easy, and it didn't work. I don't think. But
this guy's Michael Richardson again.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah.
People were really disappointed that Black Mask wasn't more the big bad of that game.
Okay. Okay, then maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe it's Arkham Knight.
No, it's not Arkham Knight.
But yeah, like people keep waiting for Black Mask to have his day.
Spoiler alert! But this is related to that game.
Yeah, but everyone knew that before that game came out.
Yes, they did.
No one was surprised because they told us.
Yeah, now that was definitely played too much as a reveal and took way too long, and I'm not going to argue about that.
That guy's on fire. That man is burning alive. That's more than Dark Knight showed us.
That's a really good point, yeah. To be fair, Begin showed Batman himself on fire, but that was a little different.
Okay,
he wasn't burning
these
alive.
Ninja people, why are they not comic book characters?
And do they belong in this movie?
They don't aesthetically match this movie.
They look like Ninja Turtle villains to me.
Yeah, and like 2012 Ninja Turtles, or not 2012. Fast Forward.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, they're not bad or anything, but it feels like, is the movie going too far out of its way to be like, this is a comic book universe and not just a street level? Like, we need to show that like pseudoscience is in this, and
it's weird to me because we have a Mazo in the beginning. Like, okay, if you're gonna put a Mazo, why aren't these DC characters? Like, if you think you want to live in the DC universe, make these DC characters, or make it Shiva and some League of Assassins, and then you can tie in the Ra's al Ghul.
Especially because you had Ra's al Ghul at the beginning.
Yeah,
it's weird that that's there, and then we don't do anything else with that. Like, I mean, I get that that's
a little bit. Because he goes to Ra's, and Ra's is the one who explains it.
That's right. As soon as I said that, I was like, wait a minute, do we? I can't remember.
But this has always been the thing that stands out to me is like, why are these characters here, and who are they, and like, why aren't they existing characters? It just feels really weird.
You can make the argument that Amazo is there, and I know this isn't about the argument you just made that like these should actually be people, but I'm still questioning whether or not this kind of stuff fits in this movie. So like you can make the argument that, well, Amazo is there early on to set the stage for this kind of stuff. This is the kind of world we live in, but I still don't understand why they're here. Like why we're doing this kind of stuff when it's such a street-level crime drama in the first place. Obviously a really heightened one, especially with the way this Black Mask is, and stuff like that, but
if this was Shiva and League of Assassins, it would feel more in tone.
You have this wonderful, really noirish kind of opening that looks almost like Sin City or Daredevil or something, and then you have this kind of stuff. Like, this, I'm going to make this argument. This stuff with these, like, cyberpunks is as jarring as if this stuff showed up in Batman Begins or Dark Knight. Yeah. Except for the fact that we sort of set it up at the beginning. Yeah. And, like, that guy's right out of Beyond.
Begins.
Right out of Beyond.
Or Beyond. Sorry, not Begins. Yeah, Beyond. He looks like
a tree.
Yeah.
The eye thing, anyway.
Yeah, they're just... It's really weird that they're here. And, like, I guess maybe it's so some of them can die, like, but it's like we're going to go back to this continuity. Like, why do we need these, like, cyber Mortal Kombat ninjas? Like,
yeah. They're kind of generic, too.
Yeah, and they look like they're out of a Saturday morning cartoon. This is a movie that's very much not a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah. And is indisputably not for kids.
Yeah.
You know, under the age of probably, like, 13 or 14, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's not like it's too serious for this kind of stuff. Like, just totally, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you can't have like comedic stuff. I'm liking Black Mask. I'm just saying
it's also weird that they have the like laser sword thing when like we have real guns and we cut people. Why aren't they just swords?
Yeah, it's just totally inconsistent. Like, if you had. If they were being, like, run by some kind of a boss or something...
And that's why I think that scene is why they're generic nobodies, is because so they can kill them. But we're never going back to this universe. Why can't it be someone that we murdered?
And again, I don't care about that. It's fine if it's... Well, and again, it could just be, like, League of Assassins, Ninjas, or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't mean, like, characters, but like, something that feels like...
Again, my biggest issue with it isn't even that it's not an organization I've heard of or characters I've heard of. It's just... It doesn't visually match this movie. Why are they there? If they were, what I was going to say is, if they were run by some kind of a mob boss or whoever it was that like really fit into this for some reason for some other way, and it just made a lot of sense that that person would have those kind of henchmen, like, I guess okay, but it feels just random.
Well, I think
it's so random.
I think it's supposed to be like, we know that like just guys with guns aren't going to be a fight for them. So like it needs to be someone that's skilled that they can fist fight with.
But just ninjas.
Just ninjas. That's all I'm saying. Like it, just League of Assassins. I'm not saying it doesn't.
I'm sorry. I feel like we've harped on this point too much.
Well, that's the whole scene. What else are we gonna talk about during that scene?
Yeah, fire escapes.
Feels like.
That's what it feels like.
There's blood on the sword.
It's weird that it's a regular sword that gets electrified because it looks like a laser sword.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we have a normal sword, but we put like a laser beam around it.
Yeah.
Which maybe that actually makes more sense because like the big question with the lightsaber is always like how does it stop?
Yeah.
Like maybe it's containing the beam or. Well,
I guess that ultimately does make more sense.
Maybe that makes more sense.
See, that's how it's more grounded for this more grounded universe.
Well, that's inconclusive. Where have you been, Alfred? I figured this out in like 10 minutes.
I actually think if you did a Robin story in one of the Nolan movies, this would maybe be the one to do, you know? Like,
this wouldn't... If this hadn't come out, this wouldn't have been a bad way to go for Rises. Because you make that jump. You do that 8-year jump, things have happened in between.
Yeah, but I don't know if you could, like... How do you resurrect the character in that? Like, it couldn't be a real resurrection. It would have to be...
I guess not.
That's the only problem with that. But I was just going to say... I think you could almost maybe get away with the tragedy of the first Robin he has died in that world.
Yeah.
It couldn't be that young.
No.
He'd have to be like a
17, 18.
Like a 20-year-old Robin, yeah. But...
This is my favorite. This is my favorite part. One day I'm going to be so rich that I can do this.
Just when I'm throw angry. Desks?
No, this.
Oh yeah,
you walk through every single person.
That's right. And I thought that's the scene we were in earlier when he punched the one guy. He just goes in a circle, and they all just stand there and wait to be punched.
Yeah,
it's great.
What's interesting is that we.
It's funny every time. It's great because is he wearing a mask or is he a skull face guy?
I think it's a mask that's melted to his face like in the comics. I assume.
Okay, but his face was melted off then, right? Because like he has no skin and like it's not. It doesn't look like a mask. Like it looks like his face is gone. Because he's Red Skull with a Black Skull, right? Like that's what he is.
Yeah, he's Black Skull, Gray Skull. Really, he's a little gray. But no, the way
by the power of that
if
guy.
I remember Black Mask's origin correctly, he starts wearing like a Black Skull mask, and then something happens, and it like melts to his face, and like he cannot.
But
take
I don't
it
think
off.
it ever looks that skullish. Like if a mask actually melted to your face. It wouldn't look like that.
Unless it's a skull mask to begin with.
No, but the way it's animated here, he has a skull for a head.
Yeah.
Like, that's a skull for a head. And he's got the beady eyes like he lost his, like, everything around his eye sockets.
I think that's how Black Mask is usually drawn.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
And that's not a character I'm super familiar with or anything. I mean, really, for the longest time, I never saw him in anything except No Man's Land.
At least in the 2000s, I think that's how he's drawn. And he's drawn awfully in No Man's Land. Yeah, that stuff's terrible.
I agree.
That's unfortunate for you. And that's a voice I know. Like, there's just an in everything voice.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a lot of 90s cartoons, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, shut your gob.
Computer just says blocked. I gotta unblock the computer.
I don't know why there are certain things that are just inherently funnier in animation.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about it if it was live action. That's a great shot. That could be a cover. It might be a cover. This would be more dramatic if you were digging with a shovel.
Yeah, it's inherently messed up though, right? Like
It's more modern, realistic,
just
but
Batman digging up
yeah.
a grave in his own yard. I just
Yeah.
So the big thing with, and again, I either haven't read it or it's been so long I just don't remember. But the big crazy thing with the comics is that he didn't think of Lazarus Pit in the first place. Wasn't it the Crisis?
Lazarus Pit doesn't bring you
something?
back from the dead. Lazarus Pit heals you when you are wounded or old, which
Oh,
is why,
yeah,
and
that's
it drives,
right.
and that's why he's like that's why he like goes crazy. Okay, so 2 questions.
So in this, do we just change the rules because we can? Is that the idea?
no, it still drives him crazy in this.
Well, no, that's true.
That's
but,
what. Well, okay.
But he uses it to bring him back from the dead, though, right?
Okay, that's
or,
right. Okay.
Or is there an explanation where it's like he's not quite dead?
No, I
But we
forgot.
still could have done that in the comics, though, right?
I forgot that this is an invention of this movie that we later retconned in the comics. In the comics, do you know how Jason Todd comes back from the dead?
Well, it wasn't
Superboy Prime
Superboy
punched the
Prime,
wall
right.
of reality and
Right.
he just woke up in his coffin.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest. I forgot about
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Like, why wouldn't you find a way to make it the Lazarus Pit in the first place?
Maybe he. Yeah, I don't know. It's like that's such the obvious thing.
Because when you see it in this, when you see Ra's al Ghul at the beginning, you go, well, of course. And then when someone told me, because I hadn't read the comics, when someone told me in the comics it was this really weird, contrived cosmic thing, I was like, what? That's the obvious. It's built into just Batman, and that's part of the reason this doesn't have to be in the rest of the DC universe. You have it built into just Batman's universe.
Yep. I've always liked this scene, but I've watched it with 1 or 2 people that thought it was really predictable. Where they're like, "Oh, there's a bunch of people there. Joker's gonna kill his people."
I kind of had that with
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I didn't when I watched it.
Maybe we were just really enamored with DiMaggio.
I do. I really like DiMaggio. Well, I think part of it's his line at the end of this I really like, where he's like, "I'm gonna need a bunch of guys, not these guys, obviously, because they're dead."
Yeah, I guess because they're dead. And it's funny how we use that brand of comedy for both of them, but they don't feel like the same character or anything. Like they both overly explain things. But I think it's because Black Mask does it because like he's hysterical and I mean not hysterical, haha, but he is that. But like he's just. He's hysterical and thinks everybody around him is incompetent, so he feels like he has to overspell things out. And Joker does it because he thinks it's funny. And it's just for himself.
And Joker and Joker's way scarier.
Yeah.
Than the Black Mask.
And Black Mask
obviously.
wished he was scary.
Yeah.
He wishes he was scary. And he's scary to his thugs, but not to us.
Yeah. No, he's funny to us. I want to say this Ra's Raish is someone.
I forget now.
I want to say the voice is someone that's of some importance of some kind.
But yeah, like they make Black Mask feel pathetic, and it works. And like when he gets thrown in a hole later, you're like, yes, of course that idiot got thrown in a hole.
Oh, it's Jason Isaacs, isn't it?
I didn't know that.
I think so. I might be wrong. I think he voices him in one of these, but I think it's this one.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I always wonder with Raish, like he's.
That looks like blood. That
Yeah.
does not look like wine. That
Well,
looks
he
like
looks
blood.
like a vampire.
Okay, maybe that's on purpose.
Like sometimes he's just like hanging out, living the high life.
See, if this was only PG, Ra's al Ghul would not be making himself a thing of blood and drinking it.
But his whole thing is like eco-terrorist, and I'm like, I don't know if he would just be like hanging out, living the high life, like in a mansion, sipping a wine. Like, I don't know, like that feels weird, right? But like it's because he's a Bond villain.
I feel like we've seen him portrayed that way before.
I'm not saying in this. I'm saying always with.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like, that feels weird to me that he seems like a guy that should never be relaxing because he thinks the world's tearing itself apart and he needs to fix it. A lot of times we just cut to him. He's just hanging out. He's not doing anything. Like that's a guy that should always be doing things.
Yeah, but, you know, he's got minions to do things for him, you know? Like, he's a delegator.
I guess so. And all great leaders are delegators.
The reason he's drinking all the time, and it looks like he's living the high life the way you're saying it, is because he's civilized and the rest of the world isn't.
Yeah. Well, and here he might be kind of depressed.
So he's living... yes, and for good reason. But, yeah, I like that Ra's al Ghul blames himself a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's really cool. This is instantly one of the most humanized Ra's al Ghuls we've ever had, and he's in like 5 minutes of this whole movie. Now, I do have that problem I have with so many things, like, why would you ever think to work with the Joker? Like, you're an idiot for doing that.
Yeah, and obviously that is not how it is in that.
Because isn't the idea in this that he basically just uses the Joker as a distraction tactic?
Yes.
And, like, he hires him, and
he
he's
didn't
like...
expect the Joker to kill.
You're an idiot, it's the Joker. You know, like...
And these guys have snake tattoos, which make them look like the Cobra guys. The DC Cobra, not the G.I. Joe Cobra, the, like, Cultic Cobra guys.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because they got the red hoods, and I think they have snake tattoos. I don't know if that's just a weird reference, because, like, those guys are...
So, the United States Embassy there is shot way too much like Arkham Asylum. And,
Also, terrible, terrible place to put it is in Gotham.
The Embassy? That's a really dumb idea. I want the sequel to this to be No Man's Land, and then we go back to the Embassy.
I just want, like,
there is...
I just want... well, that's just a vampire coffin. I want a, like, an Escape from New York thing, where it's just, like... Just someone looking for political asylum who has to make it through Gotham to get to the United States Embassy. Because it's in Gotham?
Well, wait a minute, that's not Gotham. Like, you wouldn't have a U.S.
Oh, I guess it's not.
No, that's not.
You're right.
That's what we're talking about. Like, wait, we're
dumb.
idiots. Yeah. No, you're in the U.S. already. No, the embassy is wherever Raisha is. Whatever Middle Eastern country he's in right now. Yeah. No, excuse me. We're idiots.
Yeah.
Carry on.
But pretend that what we said is true and it's really funny. And there's Talia, who I don't think gets a speaking role in this. I think she's just kind of hanging out here. In this scene. Or maybe she does say something. I don't remember.
I want to see a Spawn crossover where the Lazarus Pit is just psychoplasm. And I don't think that actually makes no sense.
No.
Like, the idea that the Lazarus Pit would just be, like, hell juice or something? Like, that could work.
Well, now it's one of the metals.
Yeah! I forgot about that.
Yeah.
In Metal.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight's Metal. I forgot all about that.
So
ooh, I like what she looks like in this a lot.
Yeah, me too. It's very Agent Peel from the Avengers.
Yeah,
the '60s Avengers.
I was gonna say kind of like I couldn't put my finger on it. I was gonna say kind of like a Bond era kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what's weird. So,
or like the chick from Danger Diabolic.
Yes, yes. So he goes crazy and he kind of stays crazy because Lazarus Pit is kind of the explanation. It's like why he's kind of lost it. But why is Raish?
And then you have that question of, did he need the Lazarus Pit in order to lose it? He's like, because he has an argument, and so he doesn't really need like a mind altering drug.
But why is Raish surprised when he wakes up crazy? Because
he shouldn't be.
What always happens when you wake up in the Lazarus Pit? It happens to him.
How surprised is he?
He's got like like eyes.
Well, maybe it's just a what am I going to do about it?
But he should have anticipated this because that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you put people in the Lazarus Pit.
No, you're right. He should have people around him that are surprised. He should be standing there just going, no, I knew we might all die, but you know when I did this, but
I don't like this Alfred's mustache.
Yeah, I don't care for that either.
Just a triangle.
Looks like scissors, really.
Yeah.
Looks like he could just cut you with it. You know, it's a secret weapon.
Makes him threatening, and I don't like a threatening Alfred. Doesn't look as bad from the side.
But yeah, like, the idea, of course, is he comes to a philosophy that we should just kill the criminals, and then he comes back from the Lazarus Pit, and he just goes full tilt with his philosophy. My question is, how different would he be without the Lazarus Pit if he magically came back from the dead? If it was Superboy Prime Punch.
Yeah. Well...
Which sounds delicious, by the way.
Well, but it's also... He doesn't get to this point in the comics before he dies. Like, he's a little rambunctious, but he's not what we depict here.
Yeah.
He's a little rebellious, but he's not like murdering punks.
Sure. But again, but in just this as its own piece, we take it that far.
Yeah.
And then we say we have to make him crazy. Now, I think the main reason we're doing that is because that's how it is in the comics.
Mm.
But like, what does that element really add to the story?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm really criticizing it, because I don't know how you use the Lazarus Pit and you don't have that. Like, there have to be consequences.
I want to say, I always got that the implication was...
I always prefer the Joss Whedon thing of bringing people back from the dead is a bad idea, and if you do that, there's going to be huge consequences.
Mm-hmm. But I want to say I always got the impression that it's... Like, it's more permanent. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just read into that. But the craziness is more permanent.
Well, and
because
also
it's just the impetus to get him away from Rage.
And he's a foil for the Joker that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's this kind of neat backwards thing where the Joker was Red Hood and he wasn't a crazy person, but he also, like Robin, was unsure of himself and was misguided, right? Mm-hmm. And then, like, when he falls in a pit, he turns into this crazy person that kills without thinking about it. And when it happens to Jason, because of this guy, when he later goes into a pit, different circumstances, but he also comes back crazy, but or at least like with his emotions really super heightened, right? But he's not killing willy-nilly, he's just willing to kill, and so, like, they're wonderful foils for each other.
So, I really like the delivering the same line twice. I used to wear an outfit like that, and it was more Flashman.
I remember not liking that for some reason,
that
but...
feels really Joker to me.
I was talking and analyzing, so I don't...
But there's a bit that I don't know if it's a joke or not, or like a visual joke, where he's flicking the lighter, and he can't get it to light, and then one of the cops says, "Put a light on him," and like the spotlight goes up to Red Hood, and I don't know if that's an intentional joke.
Yeah. No, now that I'm thinking about it, remembering it, yeah, I still don't like the repeated line. I don't know what the point of that was.
I think it's funny.
I found it awkward.
Okay, I like
just
it.
for no reason says the same thing you said earlier.
But he didn't say like, Red Hood before. He was like, this is his opinion of the Red Hood, and then when he meets the Red Hood, he's like, this is my opinion of you.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's funny. More people burning alive.
That's unusual, right? Like, how many... Like you expect... I mean, okay, so the thing that you expect to happen then happens, but somebody might have died. You don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
In any other... Most other Batman things, at least, that I've seen before this, that would have happened before that landed on anyone.
Yeah, yeah. That's another line that nobody else could cut. Well, and later Jason's going to make a case, which I think is interesting, where he almost seems to sympathize with Batman's point, except for the Joker.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm not saying you have to kill the Riddler or Two-Face, just him.
Well, he takes it personally.
Yeah. Yeah. After what he did to me.
Yeah. To a degree that makes it feel to him, as irrational as this might be, that somehow Batman cares more for Joker than he does Robin. And what's cool is, again, I would buy him feeling that way regardless of the Lazarus Pit. He's not just saying weird, crazy, wacky things.
So this is going to be a weird compliment. This floor is gorgeous. All of the boards are different colors, like an old dilapidated house.
Yeah,
not so much in that shot.
It's really impressive just how much detail is put into
look at the
backgrounds.
The boards are different colors. Like, it makes it feel really slapped and run down, which the backgrounds are great, too.
At this point in the movie, I wouldn't even think to praise that, just because that's the level of detail I'm expecting now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how much the Arkham games looked at this movie, because I think Arkham Asylum comes out shortly after this, so I mean, like, maybe they're
probably right around the same time, I think.
Yeah, so it's probably being developed without being able to look at this.
Mm-hmm. So
now that I say that, I guess probably not at all, but it's just really interesting the ways in which the atmosphere is really similar between them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you made a video game that was set in this universe, it would feel like the Arkham games.
Yeah. Oh, Ghostmeat just walked through me.
I'm cold.
Oh, Ghostmeat just became real. This is, of course, the second origin for Jason Todd. Do you know what Jason Todd's original origin is?
I used to know it.
He worked at a circus, and his parents were murdered.
Yep.
And then
because originally he was just Dick Grayson again.
Yeah. And then at Post-Crisis, this is his new origin, and then we use this origin for Tim Drake in New Adventures of Batman.
Well, wasn't the reason that they just made him Dick Grayson again, but not Dick Grayson, was just because people complained that you didn't have a Robin anymore, and so they were like,
yeah,
so we'll just make him exactly the same thing?
Yeah, because Robin was over in Teen Titans and had become Nightwing, and they didn't want to, like, he worked better on his own, over with his own team, and he couldn't constantly be hanging out with Batman. That wouldn't make sense, because we used to care about continuity, and so they're like, well, we'll just make another Robin. He's different, he's got red hair.
I just imagine Batman, like, looking at the newspaper, trying to find a kid who is a trapeze artist whose parents have been murdered recently. Like, that's how he finds Robin.
So I don't remember if this comes out before or after Grant Morrison's arc in Batman and Robin that deals with Jason, which is the only time outside this movie I've liked Jason Todd.
Pretty sure it's before it.
He has a neat little note, because
I'm not sure either, actually.
Pre-Crisis Jason Todd has red hair. That's part of his distinguishing feature. And in Post-Crisis, he gets black hair. In Morrison's story, Jason says that Bruce made him dye his hair black so he looked more like Robin.
The color and lighting in this scene is amazing.
Yeah. That's a great shot.
Yeah.
But that feels like a thing that...
Their Bruce Wayne has a real distinct face. And looks older without going crazy with it.
But that feels like a thing that you could have thrown in this movie is like, I have red hair and you made me dye it black so that I looked more like Robin because you were trying to make me something I'm not. And someone I'm not. This looks really anime-y in a really good way.
Okay, so
they make it a question.
They treat it like a reveal sort of again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't remember that. But, like, he's got to already pretty much know.
And we, the audience, should already pretty much know.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I thought it was just already totally clear as the first act plot point. Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's why I was like, I thought it was near the end that we get the reveal.
Maybe the way I always interpreted it was just he knew what it was supposed to be, but he just didn't believe it until
he saw it.
Yeah.
But we do it like a big dramatic reveal. Maybe, I don't know. And it's interesting here. I don't know if this is intentional. I don't remember how it looked in the comics, but he looks almost identical here to when they do the Jason thing in Hush. Where it's
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah.
This is kind of what he looks like.
Yep. And I was sitting here trying to remember what book that was in. Yeah, it's Hush.
Well, and Hush is the reason that this story gets told, because he thought it was a mistake to not bring Jason back there.
Weird. Because that just struck me as like the 100th one of Jeff Loeb's kind of obvious teases. You know, he just likes to tease you with stuff.
But I actually liked it in Hush. That was the first time I think that anyone ever really used Jason against Batman like that. And so I think it worked emotionally, even if it was just kind of gimmicky. What's really weird is we went back and said that half of that time...
Real quick, I gotta say something about the scene. This is just the Matrix.
You're right. Yep.
This is just the scene where Morpheus gets his butt handed to him in the Matrix.
Yep, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. But we went back and we then said that half of the appearance in Hush is Jason, and he switches out with.
Yep, that's right, man.
Which is
I forgot about that. It's
dumb,
so dumb
because there's an explanation for why he fights the way he does. Because Bruce is like, it's really familiar, but I can't place it. And then he apparently just mimicked Nightwing, but like that doesn't. It's all dumb.
And one of the reasons it's really weird that we brought Jason Todd back when we did was because it's not too far before Blackest Night, and that would have been the obvious place to do that.
Also, I don't know if you know this, but same week, completely unintentionally, completely coincidentally, same week, he comes back as Bucky.
Yeah.
The issue drops same week.
I forgot about that.
I love Joker with messy hair. I really like his speech, and this is one of the biggest reasons I think this works better is I don't think this book comes down on either side, or I don't think this movie comes down on either side, and the book seems to be really judgmental, and like, Batman's an idiot for not killing these people. Like, the book seems to be on Jason's side, as I recall. I haven't read it in 10 years. But I remember it being real, no, Batman's dumb.
But no, this lets you make up your own mind, and it just makes it a real moral conundrum.
And at this point, it has to be thousands, right?
Yes, and of course they're both. We're talking about the number of people Joker's killed, but one of the reasons it's very difficult to decide what side to come on is because these are not two like really rational people. I'm not saying Batman's super irrational, but they're on very, very opposite extremes, right? Like, Batman is never ever let anyone die, much less kill, and he's kill as a matter of course. Like, there's no in between with these two people, and so like he's come back as a perverse mirror for Batman, but then you can totally see where he's coming from. So this is one of those things that there's no getting around, but this is another one of those moments where I feel like Batman's talking too much.
I don't mind it here because it's someone that he's familiar with as a person, as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, but then he should drop the Batman voice.
Joker's there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. But it's just... And I'm not saying he has like a real super grovelly Batman voice, and it's pretty subtle. He's Bruce Wayne to his Batman. But... And again, it's a necessary evil. There's nothing you can do about it. But it's just, the longer Batman talks in his Batman voice, the weirder it gets for me in a lot of things. It's hard to make sound natural, is what I'm saying.
That didn't need to be CGI.
It didn't need to be that slow.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know that shot was CG.
It looked like it to me. It looked like that cell shade
It's
CGI
got
could do with
depth,
the cars.
but yeah.
This is the scene from Welcome Back, Frank that's then used in the Daredevil season 2.
Yeah, and I always love a Joker that's willing to die for a joke.
Yeah. No,
like, he has no idea how this is going to work out, and the punchline is great no matter what happens. Like he's in this win-win place right now.
Well, and I love his line when everything starts blowing up, when he's like, do not stop this. This is better. All three of us dying here.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's the Joker to me.
Yep.
That's a bullet.
And this movie makes a wonderful case for the Joker being here all the way through. Like, I think you could have maybe told this story without him, but then making Jason Todd such a foil for the Joker and Batman simultaneously. It doesn't feel like just an excuse to have Joker.
No, and it makes sense because he's the guy that killed Jason Todd. Like, it feels like he needs to be here.
Yeah, because he's both of their arch nemeses in his way. It's also
there it is.
Important to note that it's also important to note that this is, as you mentioned a couple of videos ago, the first standalone Batman movie they make. Right?
Yeah. Outside of Gotham Knight.
But like.
But real.
The first singular story, and they bring the Joker in right away. And we end an animated Batman movie that Bruce Timm worked on with a big explosion, and it doesn't feel like an obvious, gimmicky, we've got to have an explosion here
Yeah.
kind of ending.
Yeah.
It's not Sub-Zero. Like,
and now the explosions part. He thinks it's funny because I think it's funny. They can't find Jason, but of course the Joker's just hanging out there. Because he can't die.
Yeah, this movie is so much more sophisticated than it has any right to be.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, see, Nightwing totally dropped out of this movie.
He does, you're right. But what would he have done?
I don't know.
Does he need to be?
He doesn't need to be here.
Now, to be...
I mean, in the later part of it. I'm not saying he needs to be in the beginning.
I mean, I will say, if he had been in that scene, and he shouldn't be, but I guess Nightwing would be the midpoint between them.
Yeah.
And now that I'm saying that, in my rewind, I had a chart about it. And
Did you?
Yeah. Isn't it weird when you have ideas that you've had before, but they feel like original ideas?
Yes. One of the weirdest things, I don't know if you've ever had this, but when I think I've thought of something like, oh, I have a really good line for something, and I look at something like specific creative writing, where I'm like, oh, I already wrote that.
Yeah.
I wrote that 6 months ago. Because I went back to revise things and be like, I have a better line, and I went and I looked and I'm like, oh, that is the line.
Yeah. I've done that with videos before, too, where I'm like, man, I wish I'd said this, and the very next thing I say is the thing yeah.
I've always thought this ending felt a little too open-ended. Like, I want a sequel to this. Like, I don't know what that would be, but, like, I've always thought it felt a little open-ended.
In what way?
Just that the Red Hood thing isn't resolved. Like, he's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
This would have been an amazing pilot episode.
But it would
for a
have
new
been...
Batman show.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that's the only way to do it at the same time, even if this is the only thing you make, and it is, but, it would have felt, way too clean and easy if he died, and also the movie kind of would come down too much on one side if that happens.
And this is a wonderful ending.
And it's also kind of more tragic if Batman doesn't have any kind of closure, right?
But getting to see him at the earliest point where he's the most wide-eyed and
yeah. The first time I saw this, I teared up when he says that at the end. This is the best day of my life. That hurts my feelings.
These are cool credits.
Yeah, they are.
Ooh, I like that it goes over the actual credits.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, this thing really holds up.
Black Mask is Wade Williams.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. It is really, it's really sad that, going all the way up till now, they've never bested this movie.
Nope.
And
again, Dark Knight Returns is its own thing.
Yeah, okay. Alright. No, that's fair. And I always forget that. I don't know why. It's such an anomaly.
Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a different thing by a different house, and, for me, it's mentally, it's not fair to put in the sequence. It is
the same people, so we have to. I mean, yeah. So okay, fair enough. So that one did it too. Well, and I've only watched that once, and I remember really liking it a lot, but I can only speak to superficial things.
Well, and I already love Dark Knight Returns.
And you're a huge fan of Dark Knight Returns, yeah. My kind of and obviously we'll be doing that not too long from now, but my kind of baseline standard for that was be your own thing and don't just be your one off the page. Like that was.
Yeah.
That's going to be weird to do.
What's unfortunate is outside of Dark Knight Returns, this is the only one I like.
You mean
of all of the animated Batman films.
Of the Batman ones, yeah.
Yeah. It's not the only DC animated film I like. I like some of the not great Justice League ones more than I like any of the... I would rather go watch Justice League Doom...
Because they're fun.
...than I would... Yeah. Justice League Doom has a lot of problems. It's a fun
Well, and
watch.
you like Crisis on Two Earths.
I like Crisis on Two Earths. I haven't gone back to that one in a while. I should.
But, then there's things like, Superman versus the Elite.
Yeah. No, I like Superman versus the Elite a lot. There's some other ones.
Yeah, I had another one in my head that's not coming to me right now.
You like Wonder Woman more than I do, but I haven't gone back to Wonder Woman in a long time.
Yep, I like it a lot.
But after this, outside Dark Knight Returns, I don't like any of the Batman ones. which is gonna be real fun for us to go through. But
Yep.
I don't like any of the Batman. And like,
So strap in, folks.
and like when we got
we liked the Suicide Squad one. Okay,
I like the Suicide Squad. Yeah.
But it's not a Batman movie. It's a Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah. No, and I like that movie quite a bit. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's better than the movie that we got, the live action.
What is that called?
Assault on Arkham.
Assault on Arkham. There it is.
These are short credits.
Oh, this is 2010.
Okay.
Oh, weird. There's 2 years in between Dark Knight and this. So our next one, do you know it right off?
Yeah, it's it's Superman, Batman.
That's it, Apocalypse. Yeah. And then it's year one right after that.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I have not watched year one since
I've seen it one time.
Since we recorded our video on it.
I read year one again moments before I went and got that. And I both was glad I did that and really wished I hadn't all at the same time.
And
because I was able to see it for what it was more, but I also think I probably would have enjoyed it more had I not done that. Maybe, I don't know. But then I still think, I've always thought that, I still think even if I didn't know year one, I'd be like, this doesn't feel like the right medium for it. Because it isn't. I mean, they just take the comic and make it and turn it into a movie.
But they also take a lot of the edges off.
Yeah.
Like, it's a neutered version, like a direct adaptation that's a little neutered.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
But with the voiceovers and stuff, he does everything the comic does that you need to do to be a comic book.
And I remember Ben McKenzie being awful as Batman / Bruce Wayne.
I don't remember anymore, but I totally forgot that's who that was.
Yeah.
So that's interesting now,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And weirdly, only a year before that show starts.
And isn't it also
or a couple? Does that start in? No, because we're only in season 4. That starts in 2013, right?
Yeah.
Gotham. Yeah.
Yes. Isn't it also Bryan Cranston as Gordon in year one?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh man, I wish he was Gordon in Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with the Gordon in Dark Knight Returns, but oh man, I wish it was Bryan Cranston.
So anyway, that is it for Under the Red Hood and Apocalypse for you tomorrow. Thanks a bunch for watching. We sure appreciate it, and we will see you then. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you, folks.